All right, let's talk birth rate. We've talked about South Korea extensively, and apparently they have an ambitious plan to rescue its population. Let's take a look at its ambitious plan. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol is preparing to elevate the nation's demographic decline to a top tier political priority in the hope of reversing a trend that threatens the long term health of Asia's fourth largest economy. Please also keep in mind that this man is an anti feminist, so I doubt he's listening to anything women say. He ran on being an anti feminist and won on that. Yoon announced a forthcoming secretarial office solely dedicated to the issue during a meeting with his senior secretaries, according to local media, citing his spokesperson on Monday. It follows Yoon's televised address last Thursday, during which he called for a new Ministry of Low Birth Rate Counter Planning tasked with handling the national emergency. The moves are part of Seoul's intensified efforts to reverse its plummeting birth rate, fueled by shifting societal norms and economic pressures. So, as you can see, this line is falling off of a cliff. This is their birth rate from 1975 to now. The country's fertility rate, already the lowest in the world, fell further last year, with the average number of expected babies per woman dropping to 0.72 from 0.78 in 2022, far below replacement of 2.1. The issue of low birth rates requires us to take the situation more seriously and contemplate on the causes and solutions from a different dimension than before, Yoon stated in December, according to the Yonhap news agency. South Korea's government has already spent more than 200 billion on initiatives designed to support new mothers and encourage larger families, including cash subsidies, infertility treatment, and childcare. Yet the fertility rate declined for the fourth consecutive year in 2023, according to provisional statistics released in February. A falling birth rate reduces the size of the country's workforce, which can lead to slower economic growth, higher dependency ratios, and increased pressure on public services and pension systems. Some private companies have adopted their own measures to spur the birth rate. Construction giant Young Group, for instance, is offering employees $75,000 for each baby born. If Korea's birth rate remains low, the country will face extinction, Lee Jong-kyun, the company's chairman, told workers. In the early 90s, young adults between the ages of 19 and 34 comprised nearly a third of the population. By 2020, this had fallen to just one-fifth of the country's 51.8 million people, with projections showing a further decline to 5.2 million by 2050, according to national statistics. That is a humongous drop if it continues down this trajectory. South Korea's East Asian neighbors, Japan, China, and Taiwan, are facing similar demographic challenges, are grappling with their own looming population crises. The South Korean embassy in Washington, D.C. did not immediately respond to a written request. And this looks like the population. China has 963 million people, Japan at 115 million people, South Korea over 37 million people, North Korea over 17 million, and Taiwan at over 17 million. And that was in 1978. Then in 1997, South Korea's population went to 46 million. And I think it said in the article it's currently sitting around 51 million. So it has grown, but the population is about to start decreasing with women choosing not to have babies. Now, we read that was pretty much the whole article. That was a whole article. But I didn't hear much of a game plan. But what are they going to do? They don't talk to women. They have an anti-feminist like leader that who won on being anti-feminist. It doesn't sound like they're actually talking to women about what it would take to get women to want to have babies. I don't know. Maybe I just missed it. But y'all let me know what you think about this one. Now let's move over into China and talk about their population. Beijing rounds up experts for a birth rate recommendation as youth report reluctance. Young folks don't want to have babies. The bullet points: China has brought together high level officials and experts to discuss potential ways to increase fertility rates or prevent continued decline. Gathering comes as newly published survey shows young people hesitant to start a family even with new policies intended to boost births. China's top political advisory body has gathered some of its highest ranking members to discuss how to build an environment friendly to raising families, a clarifying moment for the country's worrying demographic trends, as earlier incentives show little progress in buoying a sharp decline in fertility rates. Despite Beijing's relaxation on limits on the number of children permitted per household and promises of financial support to new parents, a recently published survey showed a lack of employment prospects and maternity benefits are large enough deterrents for would-be parents to outweigh the benefits of cash payments or tax incentives. Over 100 members of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC, many of whom are subject matter experts in demography or economics, joined the meeting in Beijing on Saturday, according to state-run Xinhua news agency. Beijing needs to systematically plan its population policy and increase social support for childbearing to alleviate financial burdens associated with parenthood and children's education, said Vice Premier Louis Gyungong. So, this has been the number of China's live births from 1950 to 2020, and you see it is plummeting to hell. The high level conclave underscores the intensity of focus China has placed on looming demographic challenges as the country, historically reliant on a large labor force to fuel economic growth, attempts to halt a precipitous slide in birth rates. A total of 9.02 million babies were born in 2023, according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics in January, the lowest figure since the founding of the country in 1949. Okay, that last sentence kind of baffled me. It's talking about since the founding of the country in 1949. I'm wondering if that is the founding of the National Bureau of Statistics, because I'm pretty sure. In the same year, the fertility rate in China, the number of children a woman can be expected to have in her lifetime, plunged from 2.6 births in the late 80s to 1.19, according to data from the UN. The present figure is significantly lower than the replacement rate of 2.1 and even trails Japan's fertility rate of 1.31, a country in a long and public struggle with low birth rates and an aging population. Beijing's demographic disquiet extends beyond labor shortages. The low fertility rate has exacerbated a population imbalance caused by decades of the country's one-child policy, an official limit of one child for most households, with a shrinking cohort of working-age individuals expected to support a growing elderly population, posing a particular challenge to pension sustainability. And obviously, they did not write in the favor of boys by using femicide to unalive baby girls. They didn't put that part in there. They must have forgot. In 2016, Beijing relaxed the policy and allowed couples previously under the one child limit to have a second child. And in 2021, it raised the threshold to 3. Several provinces like Hunan and Henan have increased their childcare allowances. However, these factors are of least concern for educated youth in China, according to a survey conducted by Mao Zhaoyan, a professor at Capital University of Economics and Business. Conversely, policies to propel employment, especially for young women, were named as the most conducive for incentivizing childbirth. For family and country, why China needs more babies. The survey polled 32,282 college students across 8 provinces in China between November 2021 and January 2022, a time when COVID-19 pandemic was wreaking havoc on the job market. However, even after the virus control measures were lifted at the end of 2022, China's employment picture remains subdued. Government data showed about 15.3% of those aged 16 to 24 were out of work in March. Around 60% of college students said they believe ensuring employment equity for women and offering sufficient paid maternity leave are the primary factors which would increase their willingness to give birth, according to survey results. The findings were posted on Friday on the WeChat account for the Journal of Youth Exploration, a publication of the Communist Youth League of Guangzhou. Nearly 40% of respondents cited sufficient parental leave for men and access to high quality public schooling as conditions that would boost their interest in starting a family, with over 30% citing the importance of flexible work schedules. In addition, over 40% of students said that their fertility intentions were unchanged by the shift to a three-child policy, while only around 10% named policies such as tax breaks, housing incentives, and cash allowances for childbirth as having an impact on their decision. Nearly 18% reported an unwavering opposition to having a child, saying no policy could influence their decision. Several provinces in China extended maternity leave for women from around 3 months to nearly 6 months in 2021, while men's maternity leave remained unchanged at half a month. The cost burden of extended maternity leave mostly falls on companies, dissuading many from hiring women and dampening market confidence at a time when economic morale is already low. We need to provide young people with maternity friendly work environments, Mao said. Policymakers should include incentives for maternity and parental leave and maternity insurance to avoid shifting the burden to recruiters. China is one of the world's most expensive places to rear children. In 2023, the cost of raising a first child to the age of 18 was estimated at 538,000 yuan. That is 74,351 US dollars. In a study by the Beijing-based Yuhua Population Research Institute, 6.3 times the country's per capita GDP. So that is what they are saying in China. And what I am gathering from this post and from the post about South Korea is that the birth rates will continue to plummet because still people cannot get on board and listen to women. Women are literally saying, no, you can't just keep throwing money at the situation. And they're not giving enough maternity leave. I mean, we don't get maternity leave at all in this country. And companies simply are not paying attention. They're not thinking about the future children that won't be born because they don't want to extend maternity leave. So it's just going to keep plummeting. And I'm really interested in what's going on in these countries because our country seems destined to go the same way, because our country in the United States also is a country that doesn't listen to what women are saying. So I'm going to keep watching these birth rates and these birth rate stories, and hopefully all of this continues to hurt these companies' pockets and their bottom line. Anyway, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.